You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Summer's the best time to run the way you want. Dial it up with new challenges and programs and bring your workouts with you to make the most of outside sunny days. There's no better way to do that than with Peloton. With Peloton, take advantage of how beautiful it is outside right now. You can go on an outdoor run or even a walk if you're not feeling like running, all while working on your tan. Summer's the best time to push your pace. Move how you want, enhance your fitness journey, and feel like your most empowered self. Whether you're prepping for a marathon or improving your pace, whatever road lies ahead, your training starts here with Peloton Tread or Tread Plus. Peloton's programs and instructors take you to new heights. Tap into their expertly programmed workouts and real-time metrics like pace targets that can take your fitness journey to new heights. From their strength classes designed for runners on the Peloton Tread or Tread Plus to guided outdoor runs on the Peloton app, Peloton's classes challenge you to be your best. Call yourself a runner with Peloton at onepeloton.com/running.
This episode is brought to you by our good friends at NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. I'm sure by now you've all gotten back into your Sunday routines, but they could be even better. With NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get the most live NFL games all in one place, every game, every Sunday, and you can even watch up to 4 different games at once with Multiview, one of my favorite inventions of this decade. It's exactly what you need to catch all the action. Make your Sundays more magical. And also, YouTube TV is great. I got it this year. It's awesome. Sign up now at youtube.com/BS. Device and content restrictions apply. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings,
Why are you listening to this show?
the podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
The Tua conversation, I want to underpromise and overdeliver, but I will simply tell you, I haven't heard him that way before.
Man.
Now, it's not that I have, and it'll be either today or tomorrow that we end up getting that for you, but I was a little bit surprised for a couple of reasons. And there's only one other time that this particular thing has happened to me with a professional athlete of any kind. When Edgerrin James came out of college at the University of Miami, he was physically, obviously, very much a man, but he didn't have very much personality coming out that he was willing to show people for, wherever his distrusts lied. I was like, man, that's a super guarded person. And then 3 years of NFL stuff happened to him, and I met him and talked to him 3 years later, and I was like, whoa, you have like really grown up. Whatever the intensity of the last 3 years have been like really formative for you in a way that's substantive, that makes me go from thinking I was looking at a bit of a child coming out of college to, okay, 3 years of real world, I got money now, and everyone's coming for me, and I've got to compete against everyone to get better, and I'm going to win. The confidence that that's given you, holy shit, this is a different human being I'm talking to. When Tua came out of college before he was drafted on Lincoln Road there, I did like a corporate thing where I interviewed him for an hour in front of a bunch of people, and Dominique afterward pulled me aside and was like, you were pulling teeth there, huh? You had to work. That was a crowbar that you had to use to get in there and try for an hour to get something out of Tua. What I saw and heard yesterday was a different human being from that. Like the amount of confidence that that person has after whatever the fire of 3 years has been, I was like, holy shit, he's not making me do I don't have to do anything here. He wants to carry the conversation.
Yes.
And he wants to say things.
I'm going to guess 167 million guaranteed helps you with a lot of that confidence. And
Well, not only that, but having a head coach who believes in you. I think that's the big difference for Tua. At least that's what I took away. Having a head coach that absolutely wants you to be his quarterback because he thinks you're the best quarterback for his system.
It can be all of those things. I'm not saying that having the money doesn't make you happier and give you more confidence.
Not happier, confident. Like when you're a rookie, you're like, I don't want to say anything that's going to ruin it. I'm going to end my career by just saying, because Dan is the guy who asks questions that makes people say dumb things and all that. But it's like $167 million, and you give me Stugotz and Chris asking me, ask away.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's part of it. This was different. This was a different guy. I walked away. I told Dan and Chris, I want that guy to be my quarterback. I want him to lead me somewhere.
You want anyone to be your quarterback.
Well, I have Aaron, but I mean...
We're doing that thing of we're overselling it. So, but I'm going to keep doing it. There were times in that interview where me, Dan, and Stugotz are kind of looking at each other like he's just going, and we're like, this is, holy crap. This is a Tua I've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he took out Flores.
Spoiler alert.
Not give it away. I mean...
No, there's multiple answers there where I was just like, man, this is as interesting as I've ever heard him on this topic.
And
we
when
talk
will we get to
contracts
hear this?
tomorrow. We're gonna air it tomorrow.
Teaser.
Yeah, you got to do a better job. You can hear the whole Tua interview tomorrow on the Dan Le Batard Show at 9 a.m. Eastern on
Much
Max, right? And on YouTube.
You're asking a question? Like
Are you
this is
asking
part
or
of the
promoting?
this is part of the problem. You went from, but it's the reason I don't promote anything that way. It's because I've always got a question because I don't know when anything's going to run about here. I don't know when anything's going to be ready.
Question mark.
That's it, right? That's why I can't promote it differently than that. I'll wait around for it to be at some point aired. I will just tell you that I was surprised by it.
You can dictate that, man. You want it to air today? Tell the people you want it to air today. I mean, let's go.
I also just imagine like watching NBC, watching a game, and then you see like LA Law on at some point this week. I don't know. Stay tuned. Check your local listings.
I was just told we can't do it today.
Yes, Stugotz, you say dictate that. I'll be waiting to see if we got a gas bag of the week this week. I've asked for it 12 times, and it comes in occasionally.
Because you got Beetlejuice back there running the boards. It's the drinking head, man. Salute. Call back.
I have.
That's a deep cut, Juju. I was not going to lie. I was like, who did he just call Beetlejuice?
The thing that I was watching yesterday that I wanted to ask you guys about, because I haven't done this a lot in my life, where I re-binge watch something because I liked it so much the first time. I've done it only in my life with The Sopranos, and now I am doing it in the middle of Succession, and I think Succession is one of the best television shows of all time. But I also think that HBO has 3 shows. I wouldn't put Game of Thrones in this category. I guess many of you would. But I think they have 3 shows that are best ever argument type shows, all of them about crime families and all of them about a time that we were in. The Wire, The Sopranos, and Succession. I believe Succession is indicative of a time when we talk about people being angry at rich people because rich people are assholes and not altruistic, and the difference between the haves and the have-nots is probably the greatest problem that we have affecting all of our structural stuff, that there's such a larger difference now between Elon Musk and the power that he can accrue and people who are frustrated and struggling day to day, trying, peeing in gallons for Bezos so that he could keep making more money.
Not Hard Knocks, huh?
Not Hard Knocks, no. And I wanted to ask the group of you, how often will you go and re-binge watch something? And the reason I put Game of Thrones in a different category is just because I think of that as like an 800-hour movie, or like however. I don't think of that as a television show, although I suppose it has to be considered a television show. But these 3 that I'm talking about represent sort of a generation, a time, and a love that we have for understanding crime families.
I'm a big rewatcher. Like I'll rewatch all my favorite comedies over and over and over again, and just finish one and go back and have another in the holster for almost the nostalgia of it. It's like a comfort thing.
Comedy,
but dramas are different.
You're talking about movies, though, right? Or you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about TV shows. So, like for example, all of those shows Mike Schur has worked on: Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Office, Parks and Rec. I'll rewatch those. Well, no, whether it's New Girl or Veep or any of those shows.
I'm rewatching Veep right now.
Yeah.
Just got to finally Richard Splett has arrived, and we are really picking up steam.
The best.
What a great show. Highly recommend, especially in an election cycle.
There's also comfort shows that you just put on all the time. Like Modern Family, I've probably watched 3 times just because we're always watching it. Seinfeld, I feel like I've seen every episode. But in terms of like from start to finish, I don't do that a lot. It's more just like the fun, light listens.
I've been doing it with Eastbound and Down. And I forgot how great that show was.
So good.
And Vice Principals. Oh, my God.
Oh, that's next. That's next.
Speaking of crime families on HBO, Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, yeah.
Hung.
I rewatch shows whenever that show has a new season. Like Mayor of Kingstown. Mayor of Easttown. I'm talking about the Mayor of Kingstown.
You're talking about the one with Jeremy Renner, right?
Zagaka, he looks like Stugotz. I rewatched from season 1 once season 3 come out, so I do that with every show.
Wait, there's a mayor of
everything.
Kingstown and a mayor of Easttown?
Yes, Mayor of Kingstown is Mayor. Mayor of Easttown is MEER. E? Yes.
That one's depressing, right? That one, I have not gotten into that one. That one,
Kate Winslet.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty good though. You got to watch it.
But it is sad, right?
It's very sad.
It's
Yes, sir.
gray. Chris, I just wanted. There was a stray hung that shot through the conversation there.
You guys don't binge that one? I go back.
Never heard of it.
You ever watch Hung?
You don't remember Hung on HBO?
What about True Blood with Sucker Stackhouse?
Sucker.
My wife makes fun of me because if I'm watching anything for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, it's just to watch one of these Dark Side of Comedy, Dark Side of the Wrestling Ring.
You love Dark Sides, man.
It is.
Thank you.
It is 90s. Give me just nostalgic 90s things for 12 minutes at a time.
Summer's the best time to run the way you want. Dial it up with new challenges and programs and bring your workouts with you to make the most of outside sunny days. There's no better way to do that than with Peloton. With Peloton, take advantage of how beautiful it is outside right now. You can go on an outdoor run or even a walk if you're not feeling like running, all while working on your tan. Summer's the best time to push your pace. Move how you want, enhance your fitness journey, and feel like your most empowered self. Whether you're prepping for a marathon or improving your pace, whatever road lies ahead, your training starts here with Peloton Tread or Tread Plus. Peloton's programs and instructors take you to new heights. Tap into their expertly programmed workouts and real-time metrics like pace targets that can take your fitness journey to new heights. From their strength classes designed for runners on the Peloton Tread or Tread Plus to guided outdoor runs on the Peloton app, Peloton's classes challenge you to be your best. Call yourself a runner with Peloton at onepeloton.com/running.
Don Le Batard.
I ain't never met nobody in the world that's done hate on Blues
Great
Clues,
nomination.
Bro. Like, who don't like Blues Clues, bro? If you don't like Blues Clues, you're a loser.
Stugotz.
Look, you get one paw print. That's the first clue. You put it in a notebook. Now what do you do? Woo! Blues Clues, Blues Clues.
Sit on the chair and think about it.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Dave Hyde of the Fort Lauderdale Sun-Sentinel, still making it in the columnist game, had a take, and I want you guys to tell me whether it's a good take, a good bad take, a bad good take, or a bad take.
All right.
He says, yeah, it's Tua's team, but can I interest you in the backup, Ryan Tannehill?
He's back?
Ryan Tannehill. He is, he's available.
He's available.
He's available,
yes.
in the league. We spent 7 years here arguing whether he was a starting quarterback or not. I imagine Ryan Tannehill might look pretty good with these receivers, as a lot of people might look pretty good with this offense. Oh, Chris Cote shaking his head? No.
I vote no. It's just
PTSD.
I don't want to those feelings of just, I've done that before, and it's just.
But it's your backup.
It's your backup.
Mike White's fine.
Yeah, but Tua doesn't play games sometimes, and I never, ever, ever want to see Ryan Tannehill wear a Dolphins uniform ever again.
Ryan Tannehill has led a team to an AFC Championship game.
Stugotz, I don't care. Derrick Henry led that team, by the way, and I
Tannehill played great in those games.
It's a good take.
I would. Well, look at how
Visceral
upset we
reactions.
are. We're literally. I'm actually I'm sweating just thinking about the idea of having to watch Ryan Tannehill quarterback my team again. I can't take it.
I understand that you have some post-Tannehill stress disorder, PTSD, but I would say to you that if I offered the general audience, hey, who do you want as the backup quarterback next year? You're 9-4, and you're going to have your quarterback miss 3 games. You want Mike White or you want Ryan Tannehill? A whole lot of people are going to go with the bigger name there.
Tannehill.
A whole lot of folks are going to want the established product that has been a starter for a long time in the league and now is relegated to backup.
I have always thought Mike White to be an upper echelon backup, no?
Agreed, but never a starter. Like, not someone you think of as a starter, whereas Tannehill has spent a decade as a starter.
Ryan Tannehill has thrown for 35,000 yards. He has thrown 216 touchdown passes. He's been to AFC Championship. I take him as my backup.
You can have him.
I would love to have him.
All right, take him.
I mean, I have Tyrod Taylor. I love that. I mean,
I think he'll be better served right now in Minnesota with what they got going on with J.J. McCarthy right now. That's a big loss for them. So I can see Tannehill stepping up for them. Yeah.
Stugotz, we didn't get to this yesterday, and I regret not getting to it. What's going on with Haason Reddick and the Jets? What are the details there that are interesting to you? Asking for a trade away from Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers saying, hey, don't go. It's going to be a fun ride this season. Like, what's happening there?
So they did the Jets and Eagles traded because Reddick wants an extension. He wants a new deal. He deserves a new deal. He has 4 consecutive seasons of double-digit sacks, and a guy off the edge. He's the guy that hurt Brock Purdy 2 years ago in the NFC Championship game and had like 2.5 sacks in that game, and the Eagles went on to the Super Bowl that they eventually lost. But this is a guy who is 29 years old, who the Jets traded for. They traded a third-round pick. They traded a third-round pick, and it could become a conditional second-round pick. But they did so. The Jets traded for him with the idea of, hey, we're going to sign him to a long-term deal. And Reddick said he's not showing up to camp until he gets that long-term deal. And the Jets are saying, no, we're not going to give you a long-term deal. Why'd you trade for him? Like, I am with Reddick on this. Stay put, do not play, get your money. You have one chance to get paid. Over the last 2 years, I believe he's tied for second in the league for most sacks of the NFL. That position is the second or third most important position in the game right now, and he wants to get paid. And the Jets traded him to give him a long-term deal, and the Jets need that guy off the edge, and they haven't done it. And so if I'm Reddick, first off, it's the Jets being the Jets. Who does that? Who does that? Who trades for a guy who wants an extension? They get the guy, they make the trade, and don't give him an extension. And if I'm Reddick, I stay put. I don't show up to camp. It is an embarrassment what the Jets are doing to him.
Right.
They traded for him with the idea of, hey, you're our guy, you're getting a long-term deal. Then he got there, and they said no.
Right, and he's racking up so many fines. Like, his fines right now could feed a small village because, goodness gracious, I think, like, what you are 100% right. Don't trade for this brother, knowing his position, knowing his situation. He only coming over here because y'all had a little under the table, like, you know, when I come over here, I'm going to want it. And now they're going to back out. I salute him for staying out because you can get hurt. Like, you see what's going on right now. You can mess up all your money in these training camp situations. So commend my brother Haason. Give him this money.
I find fairly interesting, Stugotz, everywhere in the sport where you are noticing that basic human dynamics are going to make an appearance. Oh, Burrow got his money. Now Jamar Chase wants his and isn't showing up. Oh, we're going to make Dak more secure. What's going on with CD Lamb? Like, we have seen, the Chiefs have taught us, right? You pay Mahomes, Tyreek's going to leave. Doesn't matter how good the team is, Super Bowl ready. Doesn't matter how fun football is. Like Tyreek Hill told us, we can win 8 or 9 championships in Kansas City. Why can't we? That's how lightheaded he was. And then he's like, get me out of here because I see what the financial constrictions are, and the wide receivers are going to want their money for making the quarterbacks. And I mean, I know you can speak to the very real pollution, toxin that money is that can corrode any amount of human relationships. I imagine we now know, right? Draymond Green and Jordan Poole, that happened. That was money related.
Well, no, it was because he called him an expensive backpack for Steph Curry, according to Pablo Torre Finds Out, which is an excellent show.
Expensive, though, is the key word there. Like, it's money.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like they say, in every NBA fight, it comes down to one of two things: either money owed or a woman. Right. That's like every NBA fight, like in the locker room, that it always comes down to one of those two things. And I think the reality is, this is the part I think fans don't get. You only have a certain window of time as a professional athlete to make as much money as possible. This is supposed to last me forever. I don't get to retire at 65 as a pro athlete, and it's not realistic to say, oh, but then I'll be a coach after that, and I'll make a lot of money doing that, or I'll be a media guy after that, I'll make a lot of money after that. For most of these guys, this is it. And so, yeah, you treat it with the desperation of someone who said, this is my last shot.
I want to correct myself. He's tied for 4th in the NFL over the last 4 years in sacks. Daniil Hunter, who has 49, I think he's tied with him. He just got a 2-year, $49 million deal. Reddick's going to make $13.5 million this year.
It's like, how can you tell me I'm not?
Right. And he's going to be 30. He wants to get paid. Yeah. He should get paid. The Jets traded for him so he can get paid.
Yeah. Right. And when it comes to Jamar Chase right now, he's on his rookie deal, and he's outplayed that, of course. But he's in a position where I think that the owners could benefit from paying him now because his number is only going to go up like that. If Jerry would have paid that man a couple of years ago, he could have saved himself so much more money. But you're going to keep letting these folks hold out, and they're going to get a bigger payday at the end of the road.
Mm-hmm.
A lot has changed over the years, listening audience. Hey, it's Mike Ryan. One thing that hasn't, the great taste of Miller Lite. Now, you know, over the course of our history doing this show, Miller Lite's kind of been there for the vast majority of it, and I have been a very public-facing fan of the beverage. Why? Well, that's been up for debate for a long time, pretty much since 1975. But one thing that is not up for debate, the undebatable quality and great taste of Miller Lite. The fact that it is only 96 calories. This is a beer that strips everything away that you don't need and holds on to what matters most. Less filling, great taste. A light beer that tastes like beer. You don't have to choose what you like best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
Don Le Batard.
Pablo leads all of podcasting in reading while smiling. If you listen to ESPN Daily, he sounds like he's having the time of his life.
Stugotz.
Coming up next, I'm going to tell you how the Savannah Bananas are changing.
How do you know I'm
Savannah Bananas?
How do you know I'm smiling?
That's how I find my vocal range. Sometimes I just say Savannah Bananas. Savannah Bananas.
Yeah.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Pablo, were you shaking your head no? You were doing so while Stugotz was talking about Haason Reddick. Is it because of what he was saying, or is it because of what Chris Cote was whispering to you that you were objecting to? Yeah, fix your camera there. Pablo Torre Finds Out is the name of the podcast. What were you shaking your head no about?
Me, I was just trying to get them to not catch the fact that I am standing in a closet and my shirts are like 2 inches to my right.
Okay.
His closet has a window?
I've got a lot of questions for Pablo Torre today.
Journalism is made, you know.
Plants.
It is strange. Yeah, it is a strange closet. That does not
fake. Hold on. Did Jess just accuse me of having fake plants?
No, I asked earnestly. Are they real? Are they pothos leaves?
Plants.
They look nice.
They are very real pothos. Thank you for acknowledging. Nice. It's fake plants are the worst. They're the worst thing on the planet to me. They are, yes, they are by
The
definition.
worst thing? I mean.
Yes. Plants in reality are living things. They give you psychological benefits. They recycle and regenerate oxygen. Fake plants are just decorative lies.
How do you feel
fraudulent.
How do you feel about mannequins?
The devil's work. The devil's work. Yeah.
Second worst thing in the world, because Pablo believes in human life, and if you fake any kind of life, you're going to outrage Pablo.
Mannequin or
That's
mannequin
right.
too?
Pablo, I wanted to include you on a couple of the conversations that we were having here. One of them, Charles Barkley comes on here yesterday, tells us that he could have gotten a minimum of $100 million more from someone else, but wanted to go back to what felt like family. And a whole bunch of people called him a liar and said bullshit. I asked everybody here why that was happening. Stugotz's theory is people are angry and broke and they don't want to hear about how much money someone is making. Jessica had a different theory. Your theory is what here?
My theory is that Charles Barkley has the ability to generate a market just by willing it into existence. And some of that does sound like a thing you should not trust, the power of a guy to do that. But I think for him, it's real. I think his talent is one of the scarcest resources in sports. And I also think that when it comes to Charles proving that there are markets for him, remember, I mean, look, I love Charles. I know, Dan, he's a friend of yours for decades now. Remember when he had that thing where he was like, I think I'm going to the Live Tour now. I was like, oh, he can just sort of like reach across the world and grab money places. And so it just so happens that with this NBA rights deal, which we've covered super extensively on the Sporting Class, obviously, I think there's just a lot of buyers who want to give Charles Barkley $100 million. I don't think he's lying there. I think that's actually just the reality of his life.
On Pablo Torre Finds Out, I've told you before that he finds an assortment of stories and attacks them vigorously with journalism and his curiosities. I couldn't help but laugh at your most recent episode, even though I don't believe it was comedy. The Paralympics are corrupt. There are cheaters throughout the
Not a laughing matter.
It's hilarious. It was hilarious. I laughed so hard listening to that episode.
Tell us the extent of the cheating in the Paralympics, because it's unbelievable to imagine people playing wheelchair basketball and then at the end just getting up out of their wheelchairs and then walking on.
It is darkly hilarious. It is darkly hilarious, admittedly, and infuriating to so many Paralympians, because it is a massive problem that is currently being litigated in German court right now because of an American Paralympian hopeful who's like, I am a hand cyclist, and to Dan's description, he competes against people who, when the race is over, get up and walk around, who end up having to, he sees social media posts of people who are like, wait a minute, you're just living your life not doing the stuff that I have to do. This is David Burling, American Paralympian, who is an above-the-knee double amputee, an Air Force vet who got in a plane crash. And he's like, I see you guys lying all of the time. And this is something that's beyond just one man. We talk to a classifier, the person who has to figure out which division you go into. But the way I got into this, because I'm numb to so many things at this point. We've done mortgage fraud investigations, fencing, manipulation in the Olympics, match fixing, statistical inflation with Tom Haberstroh, all this stuff. But when I heard that there was a story about a Spanish gold medal Paralympic basketball team where 10 of the 12 people had tanked an IQ test, had faked intellectual disabilities to get into the tournament, and they started blowing things out by 30. And then later were revealed to be totally fraudulent. I was like, that's a Johnny Knoxville movie. That is actually a thing that screenplays have been written about, except it's just more ridiculous in reality. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, as you might imagine.
Well, tell us more, though, on what is most outrageous to the Paralympians, because you're right to say that it's dark comedy and isn't going to be funny at all. Like, these are hugely inspiring stories of overcoming. You watch the Paralympics, Stugotz, and honest to God, almost every story that's not a cheater, you feel like you're not as strong as these people who are able to overcome and still do things that you might not have the will to train yourself to do in in a pitiful, despondent state.
The balls you must have to get up off your bicycle and walk away in front of a guy who can't stand up. I mean, the balls, man.
I'm not laughing.
I think I am here to give you the blessing of the ability to laugh at the sheer absurdity of this, while also being like, oh, this is massively f***ed up. Both of these things are true in this story. It's why I wanted to do this story. And to the question that Dan had, the difficulty here is that the classifier, the job of a person at the Paralympics who has to fact check these medical disabilities, these impairments, these claims that I cannot do X or Y or Z, that job, I mean, what we investigated here, we talked to a classifier who's now retired. He used to be the chief classifier of 2 Paralympic Games. She said that she has seen people not just like lie on an eye test, but like take Valium before one of these auditions, basically, where you got to prove I am actually what I claim to be. She has heard stories of people like rolling around in the snow to make it seem like they are even more impaired than they are. They have people, I mean, it's the anti-NFL combine is the comedy of this. You go in and you're trying to prove that I am even worse than you think so they can tank the result and get into a more favorable class, because the Paralympics is about how do we match people up when the entire premise of this is disadvantage. And of course, there are lots of, I'll say it, there are lots of Stugotzes in there who are like, you know what, I see an angle for me.
Thank you.
I see an angle for how I can win gold even more easily than I have any right to.
Pablo, I guess my question is, the difference between the NFL combine and this anti-combine is that in the combine, we're trying to see how fast someone can go. So you're trying to achieve that. How do you test for the non-negative, right? Like, how do you check for something that's not there?
Yeah, how do you prove a negative?
Yeah.
They have a couple of things. They ask for a doctor's note. And as anybody who has, I don't know, gotten a medical marijuana prescription in California over the last 15 years knows, not all doctors are the most rigorous fact checkers when it comes to, I have back pain. So there's just that as the first layer of defense. And then there is actually this audition. It's an audition is what I call it, but you go and perform the sport in front of a volunteer. Because again, it's the Paralympics, guys. And so the classifiers here are not like highly paid experts. They are people who want to help this incredibly inspiring, impressive event function. And so you have these people who are watching someone tell them, I can't do this. Look at me play basketball. Look at me swim. Look at me hand cycle. And they watch them, it turns out, many times perform the theater of being even worse than they are. And so that is the classification process of the Paralympics, to me, is where all of the lawsuit strikes to the heart of that. It's gotten so bad where there are protests by other athletes. There is a hand cycle race that we report on where all but one person, the person that they alleged to be a cheater, they stopped racing mid-race, and that person just kept on going to signal we are not on the same page as this. We need something to be done, and no one will do anything. And so the guy we interviewed, the protagonist of the story, he said, I'm going to sue the International Paralympic Committee, the version of the IOC, the IPC, in court, because he sees this as something that has ruined the integrity of this entire enterprise.
I can't believe some of what it is that you're reporting, because it does seem like something a comedy scriptwriter would write.
Yeah, it's South Park.
It's a bit crazy. The outrage that I would have if I'd lost both my legs in war and then been an athlete better than all other wheelchair athletes reminds me some of what is happening around the gender women's boxing conversation, because one is a fake argument that is politicized and is just awful to watch happen, and the other one's not going to get any attention as an actual outrage. You're going to bring attention to it, but it's not going to go anywhere, even though if I were to speak to anybody and say, do you think it's fair that somebody is playing without legs and somebody else is faking to get into a wheelchair and then walking around and to win a gold medal? Like, that is worthy of legitimate outrage.
Yes, and there's a key distinction. And by the way, all of this speaks to what do we do when we're trying to regulate who's allowed to compete in a lower class of sport when it comes to performance? That's the through line through the Algerian boxer story and the Paralympics, with the key distinction, because I've reported now on trans controversies and now the Paralympics controversy, which would be an even bigger controversy. The difference here is that the stuff that people think trans athletes have been doing in America, the schemes of cheating and manipulation and lying and medical fraud, that's actually happening in the Paralympics, and it's not happening over there. And you know that because the Algerian boxer story, it's funny when I see Logan Paul, and there's this lawsuit now, of course, against Twitter and Elon and J.K. Rowling and all of them. But when Logan Paul, I believe, is saying this is the purest form of evil, watching this Algerian boxer punch a woman in the face, and then not long after says, well, I may have been trafficking misinformation there. I'm going to delete that tweet. It's sort of okay, they don't actually know what's happening here. And that's not even a trans athlete controversy. That is a controversy that speaks to its own form of medical complexity that says actually maybe the whole binary between men and women on the level of sex and therefore performance is actually a lot more complicated than anybody wants to admit. What it's not is the level of cheating and fraud as a scheme, because no one has reported that. No one has provided evidence that there's anything like that happening there that's happening in the Paralympics.
Absolutely, brother. Transition, though. Keeping up with controversies. My sister Ray Gunn is getting accused of a lot of things across the nation, and I have it figured out. Pablo, I got you on the line. I found out. Ray Gunn is in the CIA. And guess what? Think of Steve Martin in Pink Panther.
Mm-hmm.
She was sent to the Olympics to retrieve the diamonds, the stolen diamonds. But guess what? The stolen diamonds, they're in this one room, and the only way to access that air-conditioned chute is the breaking contestants. And so they told her, they say, hey, we got a case for you, Ray. You're going to have to go get the diamonds. But bad news, you're going to actually have to compete. And she was like, all right, I got it. And so we're distracted by her dance moves, but we didn't even realize Australia got the damn diamonds back in the home city. What you think, Pablo?
You know, it reminds me of another theory that I have that I've been waiting to sort of test on you guys, Juju especially. What if the number one overall pick in the NFL draft was given to a team that had to win a game to obtain it? What about that theory?
That's a good idea.
I love
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fresh.
The two last place teams play each other for the number one pick.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a pretty good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger ratings than the Super Bowl, I'm telling you. Yeah.
Pablo Torre Finds Out is the name of the podcast. You should find it wherever it is you get your podcast. Did I miss something, or did Tom Brady quietly debut as a broadcaster this weekend and no one had any kind of reaction to it on a preseason game?
No way.
Really? I saw him on the sidelines, and I saw some people talking about him. That's why I'm asking the question, did I miss it or not? Because I thought that Tom Brady, some people were talking about how great Sean McVay was. They mic'd him up for a little while, and he just did a little bit of play-by-play, and it was more informational than anything you've ever heard in play-by-play because they were talking to an active coach, and Tom Brady needs to get some reps in before he starts.
Fox is saying they're waiting for the regular season for Tom Brady to start. So
okay, so it didn't happen.
It was a post of when he was in the broadcast booth last year, and they posted it now, which then confused everyone on Twitter into thinking they missed a preseason game in which he was the broadcaster.
Okay. I also saw him walking on a field with Mike Silver chasing after him crazily because Mike
it's that video.
That could have been any time.
Yeah, that's right.
Mike Silver's a crazy person.
He spent his entire life chasing him.
That's exactly what Mike Silver has been doing. That is absolutely correct. Your experience with USA basketball was what? Because I thought that team had put the standard so high that there wasn't going to be a way for them to meet where it is that we expected them to be. And they somehow did it by playing close games.
No, I am embarrassed to admit how much I loved these games and how much I felt like one of those like sunglasses in driver's seat of their car, selfie camera, Patriot avatars crawl out of my body as I was thinking to myself, now we get to watch these NBA players, these superstars play defense. Now we get to see them at their full potential. Because when you have a near-death experience like that, when your greatness is challenged like that, you get to see the best of these guys. And I believe that we saw the best of this version of LeBron and KD and Steph and all of these guys in a way that we just haven't really seen as often as the NBA would like us to think we've seen it. And so I was like, this is the basketball that I want more of. And I understand that this also is by definition an indictment of the basketball that we're otherwise watching, but I loved it that much.
Pablo, can you find out why HBO Max was late to posting Hard Knocks last night? Because I didn't get to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, it's called Max. Second of all, I was upset because I was ready. I was so ready to come in and argue with Smetty about Caleb Williams and stuff like that. And because, as we know, she's a big Bears fan.
We think.
And nothing. And what does it say about us as a society, Pablo, where we are so beholden to streaming platforms that when something isn't uploaded, we all lose our minds?
Is this where we all make fun of our own video team, or is that going to happen during the break?
Tua at some point in the next 3 months. See you later, Pablo.
Summer's the best time to run the way you want. Dial it up with new challenges and programs and bring your workouts with you to make the most of outside sunny days. There's no better way to do that than with Peloton. With Peloton, take advantage of how beautiful it is outside right now. You can go on an outdoor run or even a walk if you're not feeling like running, all while working on your tan. Summer's the best time to push your pace. Move how you want, enhance your fitness journey, and feel like your most empowered self. Whether you're prepping for a marathon or improving your pace, whatever road lies ahead, your training starts here with Peloton Tread or Tread Plus. Peloton's programs and instructors take you to new heights. Tap into their expertly programmed workouts and real-time metrics like pace targets that can take your fitness journey to new heights. From their strength classes designed for runners on the Peloton Tread or Tread Plus to guided outdoor runs on the Peloton app, Peloton's classes challenge you to be your best. Call yourself a runner with Peloton at onepeloton.com/running.
A lot has changed over the years, listening audience. Hey, it's Mike Ryan. One thing that hasn't, the great taste of Miller Lite. Now, you know, over the course of our history doing this show, Miller Lite's kind of been there for the vast majority of it, and I have been a very public-facing fan of the beverage. Why? Well, that's been up for debate for a long time, pretty much since 1975. But one thing that is not up for debate, the undebatable quality and great taste of Miller Lite. The fact that it is only 96 calories. This is a beer that strips everything away that you don't need and holds on to what matters most. Less filling, great taste. A light beer that tastes like beer. You don't have to choose what you like best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.